Grunt knowledge bombs. Wisdom of an infantryman, a ground pounder, a grunt. So, get ready for some lessons from Grunt University. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about all manner of things, hopefully the right way with God at the center, biblical, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. Now, my bio bullet points will be in the show notes, but I have been an infantryman, primary MOS, in both the United States Marine Corps and the Army. Did combat tours as an infantryman. Infantry, if you're not familiar, is just kind of like the core of the military, going back to ancient times. Your foot soldier, right from an ancient Israel foot soldier with a spear to a Roman legionnaire with a gladius, an armor and a shield, or a U.S. Marine Corps 0311, or in my case 0351 infantryman, ground pounder with an M16 body armor and a bunch of other stuff. Infantry. Lovingly referred to as grunts. Again, the backbone of the military since ancient times. Why are we talking about this today specifically? Well, because it was the winner of the Patreon poll. If you'd like a say in what the content is, go to Patreon. There should be a Patreon link in the show notes. Now, you don't have to sign up as a paid member or anything. You don't have to put in any credit card info. I try and remember, I'm not perfect, but I try and remember when I do the polls for people to vote on content to just make it open. Meaning you just have to go to Patreon and check it out, and you can vote for the content that you want. So I try and do those fairly regularly. If you want to go there, you can look at all the topics and pick your favorite. This was the winner of the poll. If you want to vote on content, again, go to that Patreon link in the show notes. But this won the vote of what you guys wanted to hear most about. That's why I'm recording this. All right, number one. Cardio is important. A lot of the people in the 2A gun culture space, which I love and I'm a part of too, but a lot of people just focus on the gear, the kit. What about this gun? What about that gun? What about this flash suppressor? What about this optic? How's your cardio, bro? Because that's way more important. In order for your hands to fight, your feet have to get you there. And this is part of grunt culture. If you are horrible at cardio, if you're a bad runner, if you're falling out of formations, if you're falling out of rucking, or runs, you're pretty much seen as a bad infantryman. You're pretty much ostracized, and there are terms that I'm not going to use here in polite company for what we call people that fall out of runs or fall out of rucks. But yeah, your reputation is pretty much garbage. It doesn't matter how good you can shoot. Doesn't matter how good you do pretty much anything else. Right? None of that stuff matters if your cardio is bad. Cardio is super important. Because you could be the best shot in the world if you can't get there, or if you're half dead when you get there, coughing up a lung, then nobody cares how good you can shoot because you're not there in time to help anybody. Cardio is super important. This is a thing that is valuable. And I was blessed. I was a rabbit. That's what the rabbits like what they refer to as the fast runners. I was a fast runner, always part of like the fast runners. In fact, up until I got out, the last PFT I ever ran, I got a 300 on, which is a perfect score. I'm blessed to be a fast runner. But cardio is super important. You don't have to be the fastest runner, but you got to do cardio. You got to be good at cardio if you want to be a good infantryman. Cardio is super important. So don't overlook the cardio. The other stuff's important too, right? Being able to do your pull-ups, being able to do your push-ups. You can't be sandbagging any of that stuff, but especially cardio. Again, in order for your hands to fight, your arms to fight, your legs have to get you there. Don't skip the cardio. Don't skip leg day. Right? Cardio is super, super important. And that's just a grunt knowledge bomb there that you may not like, but it is what it is. Your feet are super important. They get you where you need to go, especially in the infantry. We're not riding on tanks, right? We're not, and I was also 19 kilo in the Army. I was assigned to tanks, but Infantry is all about your feet. Even if you're mechanized infantry, eventually you're going to have to walk. Everything devolves into a man-portable system. You need to carry what you need to be able to carry on you and move long distances, sometimes over, long distances, arduous treks on land, slogging over nasty country. It's important. The cardio is super important. I guess I've hammered that enough. Another one, dummy cord. This is something, you can have the coolest kit in the world and it's all set up all this way, and then you get to where you're going after a long ruck or a long hike or, time living in the bush or whatever, and you've lost something super important like your compass, and now you're lost in the wilderness, or you've lost something crazy important like NVGs, and now the entire battalion is out there at night walking through the desert looking for your lost night vision goggles. Dummy cord. Dummy cording the stuff that's super important so you don't lose it. That's kind of a Grunt 101 knowledge bomb. And dummy cord just means like a piece of 550 cord or a piece of string. So let's say you have that, you have that compass attached to your vest or attached to your belt. When you pull it out, you have a cord on there. So yeah, dummy cord. Now you don't have to walk around looking like you're covered in spider webs made of 550 cord, right? But mission critical stuff, again, like the compass, that's a pretty common one. Like if it's something important attached to Molly kit, especially those snaps, those things, those can come undone. You can lose stuff. You're, again, going back to NVGs, you're walking around with NVGs at night and you go stumbling through a wadi, roll down a mountain, stuff goes flying. The mission critical stuff needs to stay attached to you. So there's that. Dummy cord is kind of a basic grunt thing. Not saying you have to do it all the time for everything, but especially important mission critical stuff, your bug out bag, your war belt, whatever it is, you might consider it. It can really save you. The other thing about keeping stuff on you, a big lesson, keep your weapon on you. For us, generally day-to-day life here, CONUS, Continental United States, your handgun needs to be on you. Your concealed carry permit does not stop a bad guy, right? Your gun stops bad guys. In the Marines, it was rifle. Your rifle's always with you. You shower with it, you eat with it, you sleep with it. Your rifle's always with you. If you don't have your rifle on you, you don't have it. Now I'm going to expound upon this for you guys out there that have a bunch of kit, going back to like the gun bro community, right? If you don't have it on you, then you don't have it. You might like own it. You might have like legal jurisdiction over it, but it's not yours, right? If you got 20 guns back home in the safe and there's an active shooter at your work, you don't have those guns. They're not yours. They belong to your safe. You don't have them. They're useless to you at that time. Right? So if you got a sweet bug out bag and you're on a road trip and the balloon hits the fan, you don't have that bug out bag. That bug out bag's at home where you're bugging out to. That bug out bag is worthless to you. That bug out bag needs to be in your car, or your get home bag needs to be in your car. If it's not in your car, then you don't have it. Right? If you're at home, then you're not bugging, then you're talking about like a massive bug out. Probably for most people, if something bad happens, you're going to your home. So again, if you don't have it on you, then you don't have it. That's just a basic grunt skill. So a good life skill, a good life lesson. If you don't have it on you, you don't have it. If you got the coolest, magnet cut steel Rambo knife with compass and hollow handle with a ferro rod and I don't know what did fish hooks. I'm trying to remember back to my like 1980s childhood survival knife days, whatever stuff is in that hollow handle, right? You can have the coolest knife like that. But if it's at home in a drawer, then you don't have it. Like if you get lost in the wilderness, that knife's not going to do you any good. Whatever your, $20 Gerber in your pocket is, that's the knife that you have. That's what you actually have. Not what you have in theory, but what you have in actuality. And that's kind of important. So if you don't have it on you, then you just don't have it, right? That's an important lesson. I'm going to say it again. If you don't have it on you, you don't have it. Here's a big one. Decisiveness. This is one of your 14 leadership traits. Hopefully you know those. Decisiveness. To take swift and firm action. You'll often hear this referred to as speed, surprise, and violence of action. In fighting, in battle. This is not always a good life skill, but in fighting, in battle, it absolutely is. And I forget who said the quote, but it's a good one. The best decision you can make is the right decision. The second best decision you can make is the wrong decision. The worst decision you can make is indecision, doing nothing, right? That will get you killed. A lot of times, executing a poor plan fast and as good as you can is better than just not doing anything. So, decisiveness, to take swift and firm action. You're not always going to have all the information. You're almost never going to have all the information. And especially in fighting and battles, it's fluid, right? What's that? No plan survives first contact with the enemy, and the enemy gets a vote and all that stuff. That's true. Like, you could have the best plan in the world that may not work. You could have a crappy plan, but if you do it with speed, surprise, and violence of action, you're probably going to win. At least God willing, right? So decisiveness, to take swift and firm action. Speed, surprise, and violence of action. Like, not hesitating, because hesitating will get you killed. There's all manner. I was an urban warfare instructor for the Marine Corps. There's all manner of ways to skin that cat. There's all manner of ways to clear a room. I've learned and taught CQB, I don't know how many different times and ways. Even it would even change in the Marine Corps, like in different eras. But there's so many ways to clear a room. Do you run the rabbit? Do you hook right? Do you do limited penetration or deep penetration into a room? This blah 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 blah. All that stuff. I'm not saying it's not important, but it's way less important than not freezing in the doorway when you kick open a door and somebody's trying to kill you. Just doing something is better than just standing there frozen because somebody's got a gun pointed at your face that's about to pull the trigger. That'll get you killed. Hesitation can absolutely get you killed. So decisiveness, to take swift and firm action. That is a good life skill. You can apply this to lots of other things. If you're single and you should be looking for a woman to marry. Not casual dating is garbage. But you see this girl, you're like, she's got potential. She could be the future Miss, whatever your name is, right? You may not have the best pickup line. You may, I don't know, you may say something wrong or whatever. But some of the best advice I ever got, not from being a grunt, but from my father, about asking girls out, he said, if you don't ask, the answer is automatically no. Now, you might not have the best plan. You might not be the best at asking a girl out. But if you don't ask, it's an automatic no. Decisiveness. If you think, you might not get another chance if it's somebody you just see, or maybe your buddy asks her out and she goes out with him, or she moves, or whatever number of cases are. You can apply this to anything, but decisiveness, to take swift and firm action. That's just a good man skill in general. Not all the time in life. Sometimes in life you just got to suffer. I think we'll get back to that and closing this episode out. But especially as far as combat goes, decisiveness. Here's another one. Keep it simple. Grunts are known for this. There's that joke about the Marines and eating crayons or whatever. I don't actually know where that comes from, but keep it simple. Generally, the more complexity you bake into something, the more potential failure points you have. Infantry is kind of known for this, being basic. You've got all these million or billion dollar fighter jets nowadays. You have who knows how many $1 billion aircraft carriers and radar and drones. You got all that stuff. But you still haven't replaced the grunt. You still haven't replaced the man with a pair of boots and his rifle that's fit and ready and trained. Keep it simple. There's a reason that the infantry is still the backbone of the military since ancient of days. You can't replace that. Simple. Rugged manliness. It is always important. It's been important going back since warfare began, and it's still important. Keep it simple. And that applies to more than just that, but keeping it simple is often the wisest course of action. Wisdom doesn't mean added complexity. Often there's elegance in making something as simple and functional as you can. So there's that. All right, and getting back, I said I'd get back to this. A lesson you'll learn if you're in the infantry, I don't care where or when, I don't care if it was World War II or Vietnam or ancient Rome, sometimes life's going to suck. Right? Sometimes you're going to be marching on bloody feet or a twisted ankle, or sometimes you're not going to maybe shower for months on end. Right? Sometimes life is going to suck. And you just got to suck it up. You just got to deal with it. Sometimes life sucks. Right? That it may not be what you want to hear, but unless you've lived a far different life than me, right? I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. Sometimes life's going to suck. And as a man, you just got to keep going and deal with it. Long-suffering, the Bible calls it. Long-suffering. Being patient. Sometimes through no fault of your own, just through exigent circumstances. Life's just going to suck. And you just got to deal with it. You just got to put up with it. You just got to man up. Gird your loins. Set your jaw, clench your teeth, and just take it. Sometimes that's what life is. Hopefully not your whole life, right? But there are seasons where it's just going to just be miserable. I mean miserable. And you just got to keep going. Put one foot in front of the other. That's also a good life lesson, long suffering. Sometimes, again, speed, surprise, and violence of action, sometimes there's something you can do about it. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. For the sake of other people, for the sake of a larger cause, for the sake of just life being what it is sometimes, you just have to take it and suffer and take it like a man. Anyway, with that, Grunt University basics. Anyway, it was the winner of the Patreon poll. Again, if you want to vote in content, go to Patreon and vote in that. Hopefully you found this useful. I appreciate you guys. Your tactical tip of the day. How about your pace count? Do you know your pace count? I know mine. You should know that. You should know how many paces equals what, so you can pace out, right? Back in ye olden days, before we had laser rangefinders, and even when you're marching, again, keep it simple. When you're rucking, when you're in the wilderness, can you estimate range? Part of that is your pace count. You should know your pace count. You should know it on flat ground, level ground. You should know it when you have a pack on. You should know how that affects it. You should know it uphill, downhill, right? Your pace count. So just start out with a basic pace count. Measure out if it takes you a piece of string and a tape measure, it is what it is, but measure out, let's say 50 yards or 100 yards, and measure how many paces that is. Do it a couple of times, get your average. That's your pace count. That's the old school way of measuring distance. A man's step, his pace count. Your tactical verse of the day. So many good ones that apply to infantrymen. I'm not going to give you any of those. I say those all the time. War and battle and things like that. I quote those often. What I am going to give you is some comfort if you are in Christ, and hopefully you are. Life is still going to be tough sometimes. Nobody said Christianity was easy. It might be simple, but not easy. Those are different things, oftentimes vastly different. But a good comforting verse, and you should have several like hip pocket verses that you just have memorized and know and can comfort you. This one from Christ, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light."